Hi, my name is Dov Fisher, and on the one hand, I'm a Orthodox rabbi of 40 years, and on the other hand, I'm a recently retired attorney of 15 years and a recently retired law professor of 20 years. And when I do my rabbi commentaries and Jewish commentaries, I wear a white shirt. And when I do secular commentaries, I don't wear a white shirt. And I'm here to explain very, very briefly how the system works in terms of judges stopping President Trump's different executive orders and other rulings. Most people do not understand how the system works. And they just know what they read in the papers and online, and it doesn't really explain it fully. So this is a short tutorial on what's going on. What happens is that the left-wing media will report when President Trump issues an executive order or some kind of thing like that. And then a judge issues an injunction to stop execution of the order and declares it illegal and unconstitutional. And then the media, the leftist media like the New York Times, Washington Post, CBS, NBC, ABC, PBS, CNN, MSNBC, Los Angeles Times, and all the other leftist media proceed to headline the story with something like Trump's unconstitutional executive order stopped by judge, or Trump's illegal law declared unconstitutional. Let's understand what really goes on. This quick. The people on the left who don't like what Trump has done, his executive order or his legislation that Congress has passed, since there's a majority of Republicans in the House and 53 senators are Republican. So what happens is when a conservative executive order gets through, the left immediately runs to a Democrat liberal judge, a federal judge. There are a whole bunch of them. It's about 50-50, give or take. And they run usually in the Ninth Circuit, the western states like California, Hawaii, Alaska, Washington State, Oregon. They run to some federal district judge. A district judge in the federal system is a trial level judge, first type of judge you go through. And they go and they bring their case to an Obama judge or a Biden judge or a Clinton judge, whom they know will come out left wing. And the judge issues an injunction stopping everything. And then the next day, the media reported as though the judge has ruled based on a very deep analysis of the law and impartial and objective. That's not what it is. It's baloney. The judge basically is a leftist appointed by Obama and Biden and so on and so forth, and is issuing everybody knew it was going to be a leftist ruling, and he or she would stop Trump. And then what happens is, because of the injunction, the law is held up until it can be appealed and decided by an appellate court. Now, when a district court, that's the trial level judge, hands down a ruling, the appeal has to be heard by a federal circuit panel within the geographical region of that district. So if it's one of the western states, for example, that I mentioned, the appeal will be heard by an appellate three-judge panel in the Ninth Circuit. Now, the Ninth Circuit is top-heavy with leftists. People who are named by Obama and Clinton and all the Democrats, so Biden. And in the same way, there are other circuits like the Fifth Circuit down south where they're mostly Republicans, conservatives. And so what happens is the Ninth Circuit most probably will end up with a panel that's at least 2 out of the 3 will be leftists, Obama judges, and they will uphold, and this goes on, they uphold the district judge. Same thing happens when there's, for example, a redistricting, and new congressional districts are established by a redistricting panel of a given state. So the Democrats will find themselves get an Obama judge. The Obama judge will rule that it was an unconstitutional redistricting, and then it goes to the circuit panel in that region. And what ends up happening is you're not going to get a chance for the Trump decision, executive order, or the legislative initiative to be approved until it goes before the U.S. Supreme Court on appeal from the panel, at which point you get your first chance at justice, at real justice. And then you have a Supreme Court that is currently 5 conservatives, and then there are 3 liberals, and you can pretty much guess how they're going to come out. On the one hand, you're going to have Alito and Clarence Thomas, and you're going to have Brett Kavanaugh and Gorsuch. And on the other side, you're going to have your 3 leftists. You're going to have Ketanji, who doesn't know how to define the word woman. And you're going to have Sotomayor, who perhaps can define the word woman, but who knows what else she can define. And then you're going to have Kagan, who's the only really legitimate, fair-minded left-winger. She'll always come out left-wing, but unlike Sotomayor and Ketanji, what you have with Kagan is you get an honest, a truly, not that the other 2 are corrupt, but the other 2 are just kind of prejudgment. They've already decided. And then you go through the motions of going through the motions. And so that's how that works. And now you got 5-3, and then you have Chief Justice Roberts, who just wants to make it seem that the process is not political, but deeply judicial. So somehow he comes out one way or the other way, but you have a majority conservative panel. Consequently, it's only when it gets to the Supreme Court about a year later that Trump finally gets a chance for his executive order or legislative initiative to be considered fairly. And that's what happened in the first Trump term. Every time he tried to do something, the ACLU and the other leftists would go to the Ninth Circuit District Court, appeal to the Ninth Circuit, keep getting their built-in rulings from their Obama judges. And it was always the same thing. All of Trump's initiatives had to sit and couldn't do anything until the Supreme Court got to it. Now, what you have this time in 2024, 2025, is that Trump has the benefit of all of his previous terms' executive orders and initiatives, having already gone through the year or 2, working their way up to the Supreme Court. So although they were stifled and stopped in his first term between 2016 and 2020, there is now on record final Supreme Court holdings that those initiatives were legal and may not be stopped. Lower court judges cannot enjoin them, cannot stop them, because now the Supreme Court on those things has ruled. Remember, for example, the original Trump ruling that would prevent, let's say, immigration from countries that hate America. And of course, the left wing called that an anti-Muslim or anti-Muslim, anti-Arab kind of law, even though the reality, the truth, you can't get the truth from that media. The truth was that the ban on immigration from hateful countries applied likewise to countries that are not Muslim and not Arab. And on the other hand, did not apply to the vast majority of Arab and Muslim countries anyway. It wasn't an anti-Arab or anti-Muslim initiative. It was trying to prevent people from coming into this country, people who hate America and have bad designs on Americans. And everything had to stop for a year or 2 while it worked itself from an Obama judge to an Obama panel, appellate panel, till it finally got to a Supreme Court that said, stop it. Let the guys' initiatives go through. This time around, and when Trump does things like that, they go through right away because it's already been decided from before during that 2-year game that finally it's been on record decided by the Supreme Court that those things are legal. But there's always new stuff. And that's what's happening right now in a few of the initiatives where he's trying, for example, to cut off foreign funding until we get a look at where the money's going. Like we're spending $50 million of American taxpayer money to send condoms to Gaza. Condoms to Gaza. $50 million. That's our responsibility as Americans. Like there's no Arab country that can take that initiative. We have to do it. There's supposed to be a humanitarian crisis where they don't have food and they don't have, and that's Israel's job. And it's America's job to send condoms to Gaza. So Trump wants to stop this nonsense and have a closer look. And in the same way, he tried to put a 90-day freeze on so much of America's internal handouts, not Social Security, not stopping Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid or welfare or unemployment benefits that would apply to individuals, but all the other nonsense that Biden and Obama had just been pouring out American money going down the drain on nonsensical programs. And so the leftists run to a local judge. The report in the newspaper is that it's stopped because it's unconstitutional. Well, that's the holding of an Obama judge on the first level. And then it will go on appeal, and you'll have a left-wing Obama-Biden appellate panel, and they'll stop it also. And there'll be more news reports about how it's really unconstitutional. He's a fascist. He's trying to overrule the Constitution. And then 2 years from now, it'll finally get to the Supreme Court, and they'll finally cite all kinds of reasons that it's perfectly legitimate, that he was following the law. Final word. In all the 4 years of Trump's first administration, can you think of a single time where the courts came out against him, where he then turned around and said, I will not honor the court's ruling, as biased and prejudiced as the court was, and as clearly the makeup was of Obama and other left-wing judges? Can you think of one time, for people who talk about how he's authoritarian and fascist and anti-constitutional, will take away democracy, will take away freedom? Can you think of a single time in his 4 years where, when the courts came out against him, he said, I don't care about the process and rule of law. I'm going to be the judge and I'm going to be the king? Never once. He always abided by the rulings, even though he knew the rulings were unfair. He never superseded the process when the people in the House were trying to conduct all these insane Russian collusion investigations. He never tried to supersede the constitutional process, and he won't now either. So now you know how it works. When the media tell you that a judge has ruled against Trump, they don't tell you in the news item who appointed that judge. When they tell you that the appellate panel overruled Trump, they never tell you who appointed the judges of the circuit that sat on that case. But whenever a right-of-center decision comes down from a district judge or an appellate judge, notice carefully, they always tell you it was a Trump-appointed judge. It was a Reagan-appointed judge. It was a Bush-appointed judge. They're so corrupt. Thanks for listening. Doe Fisher, if you like what I have to say, please subscribe to my channel. And if you don't like what I have to say, subscribe anyway. Bye.